Afternoon. We're going to call to order the Finance Budget Personnel Committee meeting Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024 in the City Hall chambers. Calling to order. Identify potential conflicts of interest. Anybody have any conflicts of interest? I see none. Any citizens' comments? Citizens' comments? No citizens' comments at this time. Consent agenda. Motion by Mr. Rigel, second by Ms. Spiros to approve the consent agenda. Any questions? Mr. Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If they can bring back or communicate with me on another way off the record here, there were a number of payments made that I'd like to find out a little bit more about. One of them was to forward appraisal in the amount of $5,950. Another one, well, like the Karen Mueller one I found out, and a payment to a company called Parkature, which I suspect has something to do with the Parks and Recreation Department, and in the amount of $7,913. I'd just like to find out what we're buying with those services. So if you look into that, I would appreciate it.
I will follow up with an email for you.
Thank you.
Okay, without any questions, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. We are not removing any items. Number 6, request to recommend council approval to refill vacant circulation assistant position presented by Jill Porter, Library Director. Jill?
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. I just, as noted in my memo to everyone, we had hired someone in early September for a 15-hour-a-week position. He was great. However, he had a family emergency come up and had to move on. So I'm seeking approval to refill this position, which is both budgeted for and non-benefited.
Motion by Rebecca, second by Andrew. Any questions? Seeing no questions, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Number 8, request to recommend council approval of the 2024 partnership agreement for operation of Marshfield Job Center, presented by Steve Barg, City Administrator.
Thank you. Well, this is an annual agreement we've had since I think as long as I've been here with our partner organizations on operation of the Marshfield Job Center. The other partners besides the City of Marshfield are the North Central Wisconsin Workforce Development Board and the Department of Workforce Development for the state of Wisconsin. The city has always paid roughly 3/4 of the cost of what is a part-time individual who staffs the job center. In recent years, that's been 18 hours a week, 3 6-hour days. The last couple of years, it's been Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for 6 hours each. The North Central Wisconsin Workforce Development Board picks up the other 25%. And then the contribution from the Department of Workforce Development of the state of Wisconsin is more technical in nature. They provide some phone and computer assistance, other technical needs. Not a direct contribution, but they help provide those types of support for the operation that the job center runs. So what you have in front of you is the 2024 partnership agreement between the 3 parties. The responsibilities remain as they always have been, virtually the same across the board. Slight increase in the overall cost. Periodically, we have increased. We contract with ABR staffing out of Stevens Point, and they periodically come to us and say, we're looking at giving the individual a slight increase in pay to reflect the cost of living, and over the years, we've generally been receptive from time to time on that. We did approve one, I think, earlier last year. Anyway, so what it would be for this coming year, 2024, the city would pay $14,500 toward that staffing cost. North Central Wisconsin Workforce Development Board would pick up the remaining $5,500. It's worth noting that we get about $8,000 in annual revenue from the lease that we have with North Central for the space that they have in the 2nd Street Community Center. So that offsets about half of our cost, a little bit over that, which is a positive for us as well. I do want to note that the lease with the North Central Wisconsin Workforce Development Board is expiring on March 31st of this year. Kind of awkward timing since we're doing a one-year agreement and we need to look at renewing their lease in the next 90 days. But I think the presumption here is that at the very least, we would renew their lease for the balance of 2024, even as we discuss any future changes that we might want to have between ourselves and North Central. So with that in mind, I would recommend that the committee recommend council approval to authorize me to execute the 2024 partnership agreement on behalf of the city of Marshfield.
A motion by Mr. Wagner. Second by Mr. Rigel. Any questions? Mr. Wagner.
Steve, do you have any, has Workforce been in touch with you about that location?
They're very pleased with the location and would like to remain there if everything works out. They're very comfortable. They feel it's good visibility for them, and it works well with the other tenants, if you will, the other uses of the Second Street Community Center.
Okay, I served on that board for I think 6 years, and we're one of the few, I hate to say it this way, dumbbell counties. Dumbbell in the sense that it's shaped like a dumbbell, and we've got 2 population centers to serve, and but workforce development itself will only fund fully one of the one completely manned office, and that one is in the county seat. The problem is, I think we need more people in there, and do they give you a report on the number of people served, and do they bring that forward in the negotiations?
They don't proactively do that. If you'll request it, they'll give you a report on the number of people who've come to the center. Now, that's not the number of unique people. You know, if I came 4 times during the week, it would show 4 visits, which is significant to some degree, but it doesn't show how many unique individuals use the center. But I periodically get, reports if we request it. So I know roughly what the usage is.
Okay, so essentially, they haven't made any, the workforce has not made any complaints about the location or any desire to move.
No, they like it. In fact, Jane Spencer, the executive director, reached out to me in December, just shortly before Christmas, and said, we'd like to start talking about a new lease for starting April 1st, if all parties are satisfied with what's going on. Okay,
so they are willing to look at a new lease.
Yeah, they're definitely interested in staying in the Second Street Community Center in their current location if it would work for the city as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? We have a motion by Mr. Wagner and a second by Mr. Rigel. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Suggested items for future agendas. Mrs. Spiros.
Thank you. I would like to have another presentation done on the profitness or lack thereof of the contract between Marshfield Fire and Rescue and the Marshfield Clinic. I'd like that presentation to be made by our finance department, and I want them to show what exactly we charge for and reimbursements and things like that. Along with that, if they could bring forth the capabilities of our punch-in system, our time card management system, because I'm looking, to be honest with you, I'm looking to see if we are looking at the amount of overtime that is accumulated when we have all other people out on either interfacility calls or whatever the other call is that they do. What's the other one that they do? Interfacility and
Advanced
transport.
Advanced life support is the other one.
Right. So I'm just kind of looking at, to be honest with you, the bottom line is what I'm looking at is to see if we're taking into account in our contract any of the costs that's accumulated by overtime when that particular situation is to cause the overtime. And I guess I would like it brought to the Finance and Budget Committee, but I wouldn't be opposed to it being brought to the entire council instead, if that's what the preference would be.
We can do that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other future agenda items? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Rigel, second by Mrs. Spiros. All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
We are adjourned.